Hello, we are so thrilled to welcome you all to our next panel slash interview. I am here with Tata and Maggie from Napirze. They are doing some incredible work in Georgia, restoring the floodplain out there. They're going to tell you all about that project and the things that they are doing. We are super thankful to Ia, our summit coordinator, for connecting us and giving us this platform to share their story and talk about ways that EarthCorps and Napirze and all of you can kind of partner together in envisioning a greener, more sustainable world out there. I've talked enough though, so I want to turn it over to them to introduce themselves and tell you all a little bit about them. I'd love to turn it over. Share your name, your pronouns if you wish. Where are you joining us from, the country and city? And then if you want to share a little bit about your role, maybe what led you to this work, how you got connected, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Maggie, would you like to start introduction?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm Maggie Brand, she, her. I am a Master of Landscape Architecture student, currently studying at Auburn University. And I'm joining the Zoom from rural Alabama today. I got connected to this project through an internship while in Georgia, working with the landscape architecture firm Riehl. Yeah.
Yeah. My name is Data. I'm joining the meeting from Georgia. City is called Rustavi, and I'm author of the project called Napirze, and Napirze basically is about to restore the floodplain, which is located also in Rustavi. So we are working with our community. We are working with Maggie, and yeah, that's the basic introduction for us. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Tata, I have to say you have the most beautiful Zoom background I think of anyone that we've had in the entire conference. So I want to say thank you for that, as well as thank you for being here. To break our ice a little bit, I'd love if you could both share about a community to which you belong and tell us a little bit about what makes it special to you. Today's panels are all about community, so I'd love to hear from you about that.
Yeah, so yeah, the community has in our project community has like huge role, because our initiative, we always emphasize that this initiative is community based and it comes from totally regular people. Most of those people are coming from Rustavi, and most of them are just my friends, meaning the people who actually work, who are the core team of the project. But also we try on everyday basis to make our community much big. So we try to involve students from Georgia, from outside of Georgia as well, and most importantly, we try to involve school kids from local school kids from Rustavi, because we think that most the biggest impact which we can achieve can be done through younger generations. So that's, I can say, our community, mostly young generations, and this is really special for me, because it's really new thing in Georgia, and also for Rustavi's reality. Because to get a much deeper idea about Rustavi is an industrial city which went through really difficult times during 90s, because like whole Georgia went through different times, but also Rustavi. So we are trying to like leave that past behind, and meaning the industrial past and also other things as well. So, and our community's main aim in this case, throughout these kinds of projects, is to create new identity for the city. So that's what makes our work special, because it is done with totally regular people, for the people, and I think it is a really good thing to have in Rustavi as well, because I really believe that it will affect it will like much bigger impact all over the Georgia in the future. Oops, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, just to piggyback off of that, I agree with everything that Dot is saying. I think this community is really special. It's very empowering to be part of. Both, I think, in the way that the community is coming together to help each other and the younger generations in Rustavi and Georgia as a whole, but also for me personally, I've learned a lot from them, even though I'm back in the States now. Being able to understand more about the way that they're working and the way that they have managed to really scale the project up but remain so community focused has been really incredible.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. I love the original view, or the original goal of this panel, this interview, was talking about community-led environmentalism. And our goal was to get some organizational leaders who are flipping the script a little bit. There's a tendency, at least in the United States, for these nonprofits, these other organizations that have good intentions, that want to do something good, and they come into a community and kind of tell those people what they need. They determine what those programs are, what those projects are, and they kind of don't listen to the communities that are there in the first place. So we wanted to talk about how organizations can actually partner with the communities, the local people. But that panel has evolved instead to talking to community organizers who are doing kind of the exact opposite, that these, as you said, are regular people who are noticing a problem and are coming together to create positive change. And as a huge activator of that change, I'd love for you to set the stage a little bit for us, Tata, of what was happening. What happened in your city? When did it pop up? What were some of those like problems that came along environmentally when that happened?
Yeah. You mean like kind of like near history of the floodplain, why we got these environmental problems, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As I mentioned, Rustavi is an industrial city, and because of that, we still have, but the pollution levels are decreasing time by time. But about 6 years ago, there was the movement against air pollution, which was coming from the industrial zone, and that movement was led by my friend. So I joined the movement, and we were doing together all those stuff. So we managed to get a new legislation project which passed the parliament, and we managed to get a real change, real results, and now step by step the air pollution is decreasing. So after that, at some point, like 2 years ago, I decided to quit the movement, because I decided enough was done from my side as a person. And I was thinking that maybe there is much more that we can do as a community. So that was the step where the idea about the floodplain restoration came. Of course, we knew that area was deforested and degraded like from our childhood, because I was born here, I was raised here, and almost all the time I was going there with my friends. And I always knew that this place used to be a forest, used to be full of wildlife, but then at some point it was gone. So I started to research what happened and how it developed, how humans, what impact humans had on the floodplain. And it comes out that during 90s, due to social and economic struggle in Georgia, generally, people used the forest as a source of the fuel, like to burn the wood to get some heat during winters. And that was the point where the forest was gone. Also, wildlife was gone with it, because the habitats for example, otters were destroyed, and so on and so on. So about like 3 years ago, I can say, we decided, me and my friends, we decided to, okay, maybe it's time to do something about it, because we really believe that that is our generation's responsibility to take it back what was taken out from that place. So first of all, we decided to create the community space where I am right now. This is a nursery. This was the actual starting point for the idea. And this nursery was created to collect seeds from local parks and forests, then grow trees, and then take those trees and plant in the floodplain. So that was the idea why we created this. It was funded by, it was crowdfunded, the project. So what I want to say that from the beginning, community was involved. And now we are here. Now, this year's spring, we actually started the implementation part. Maggie was here. Maggie arrived. You were out in May, right? Or somewhere like that.
Yeah, I arrived at the end of May, and I was in Georgia through the end of July.
Yeah. Yeah, so this year we actually started the implementation preparation part. And we are planning this time, also this winter will be much more preparation part. And then from the spring, we will continue trail building, and we will start tree planting activities. And there are lots of stuff to do. But yeah, we think that from the next spring, we will start more active work throughout the floodplain.
Awesome. Maggie, can you give us some shared vocabulary? When I first spoke with Dada, I did not know what a floodplain was. When we're saying that we're restoring this floodplain, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so I'll actually share the screen, and we can look a little bit at this site. So like Dada was saying, that we were able to sort of track the history of this floodplain. So I don't know if you can see my mouse moving. So this is the floodplain that we're talking about. This is just before the city was built in the 1940s, looking at the way that the river moved through. And basically, as a floodplain, this entire space is lower than the surrounding topography. So the flood of the river naturally would happen throughout this entire space. And we sort of were able to dissect this over time. Let's see, I need to move my video here. Looking at, if it will let me go, here we go. The way that sort of the development of the city and the industry started to impact this space. So here you can tell, like Dada was saying, that there's still forest. Whereas when we jump to something more present day, the forest has been really wiped out, as well as this river being locked into place through damming and pumping of the water. And so what we're trying to do basically is use the space that we're given. It's really open. It's really rare to find this much land in the middle of a pretty huge city, to allow people to go and use the space, and also giving people the power to shape it really on their own. So I hope that sort of helps to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Do either of you happen to know around how many people live in the city?
More than 130,000 people.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty remarkable that that area is still there and it's able to be restored in this way. There's kind of this trope in the States of these tech companies that they get together and it's two people in a garage with a laptop and they change the world. And I love that you're literally a couple people in this room with a bunch of seeds and you're changing this ecosystem. It was so interesting to me to hear that you would go around to parks and collect some native seeds Can you tell me a little bit about like what that process was like? You just, hey, there's a park over there. Let's go rummage. Like, how did you prepare for that? And what did it actually look like to collect?
Yeah, it was nothing much complicated, but the most important thing and learning process throughout that collecting days was that from the beginning, for the first collecting part, we just collected seeds from Himalayan cedars. It's a coniferous tree. And it was introduced not only in Georgia, but all over the post-Soviet countries. But it was introduced in 20th century in Rustavi. And also those trees were planted when the city was built. So because it was easy and because it gives lots of seeds, that for us, it was easy to collect those seeds, then grow those seeds. And at that point, we were planning that, okay, let's collect this Himalayan cedar, lots of Himalayan cedar, and then take those cedar trees and plant in a floodplain. But hopefully, and like, I'm really happy that we didn't do it, because it would be a mistake from our side, because step by step, we realized that if we are talking about the ecosystem restoration, we need to take in consideration facts like, for example, that we need to use only native species, and we need to empower native species to grow back. So now this spring, we collected, for example, you see like in my background, those two small trees. They are populus trees, and they in the future, they will make canopy of the forest. They will be like dominant shade producers and habitat for the birds. So there are about 9 or 10 tree species, but also we aim to in the future, we aim to study and research all the lines of the vegetation, starting from the trees, also bushes, grasses, and so on. So for now, I can happily say that we have this knowledge, that, and we are not like going to plant invasive species anymore. So it was like huge change for me personally, as like in terms of knowledge. And yeah, that was the journey throughout those collecting activities. For the beginning, I can say that we were doing it only in local parks and squares, but this spring we were actually going in more preserved forests downstream of the Mtkvari River, and we were collecting seeds from those forests. So yeah, that was also really interesting activity. And in the future, I really want to create this like network of the like community-based activity. I want to make it more to make it in like much bigger scale, involving school kids. And for example, we can give them kind of tasks to, okay, you can collect populus or oak trees, and like you can collect like other trees, and we can do this like kind of comparison. And yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I'd love to hear a little bit. We heard from you, Maggie, about that you are partnering, that you're a grad student, a student, and you're stateside, that you're supporting from afar, but you were there for a little bit earlier this year. Can you walk us through what your role is, how you got connected, and how you're supporting from the States?
Yeah, so basically, I went to Georgia as an intern for a landscape architecture firm, Riehl, and met Data in one of my first days there, and actually got to tour the floodplain with him. And just hearing sort of his goals, how this project came to be in similar ways to how he just explained, starting with seed collecting and really just building this from the ground up, I was pretty captivated by. And so he had sold me very quickly on this project, and I sort of just said, you know, what can we do while I'm here? How can I help to really like try to use this momentum and keep things running? So we basically developed a pilot project within the floodplain, where we went on site, a group of us, and sort of mapped out an initial pathway. And that was just a way to say, okay, we're going to take this really small part of this really huge site and show people that it could be something really amazing. So we used very minimal tools, whatever we could get from the city and from volunteers. We got a group of friends together. A group of students came and helped from different organizations, and we just got to work on the ground. So we made a pathway. We were able to host an event after that to take people there. And since coming back to the States, I have been trying to really document this process so that it can be shared with other people who want to get involved, or people who maybe want to start a similar project, so that they can understand this process of, starting small, building off of momentum, getting people involved in the community, and really learning from that process. It's pretty reciprocal. The more people get involved, the more work can be done, which is really exciting.
Yeah, we just heard a minute ago about a lesson learned that, like, oh, we should be prioritizing native plants. I'm curious, with that pilot program, were there any big lessons or takeaways?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I would like to hear what Data thinks as well, but for me, it was a lot about being willing to change quickly your ideas on the ground, not holding too tight to this plan that you had ahead of time, because so much of it can be determined by the tools that you have available. If the tools stop working, just being ready to adapt, and understanding that if more people show up to the site to help, that's more hands, learning to delegate tasks in a way that makes sure that everyone is getting involved and everyone has a hand in shaping the place, was really important, so that each of the people that were working with us that day felt, as they left, that they were kind of leaving their mark on the floodplain.
Yeah. I don't know if I can add something about the ongoing learning process, because it's personally, for me, it's like continuous learning process. And by the help of Maggie, of course, she not only helped us to, for example, design the pathway or something, but also she helped me to realize how different approach and how different focus point can affect the future of the project itself. So Maggie had huge role in the development of the project itself, because before Maggie, we were aiming, our target area was totally different place. And then Maggie told me that maybe we should start from this particular area, because it has much I don't know how to explain this, but the area we were targeting before, it's much more polluted, meaning there are lots of construction waste. And I was thinking that, okay, we need to start from this place. But then my focus was changed, and now we're starting from the place which is much less polluted and much less degraded. And that change gave us possibility and to involve much more people, not to scare them away, but also to just involve them, that it can be changed easily, much easily. So that small things, that small just ideas are really important to, and I'm really thankful for Maggie and for everybody who are giving me those small things. And then at the end of the day, that's what makes this project so special. Yeah.
At EarthCorps, we talk a lot about failing forward. The general idea being things don't always go to plan. So sometimes failure is something that happens. But is it really failure if you're able to fail forward, as in it's something that continues your momentum, continues that trajectory? It's not something that like you fail down, you fail forward, that you're like kind of continuing to go.
Yeah.
I think a lot about, one of my favorite reporters is named Michael Hobbs, and at one point he spoke about the importance of scientists publishing studies that basically don't show anything, they're not very successful, they're not very cool for people to read about, but there's a big power in them because it helps ensure that future researchers aren't kind of reinventing the wheel doing the same thing, but it kind of builds this body of knowledge that everyone benefits from, even if you individually feel maybe a little shameful or like, oh, messed up, or didn't have the knowledge that I needed. It sounds like overall, organizationally and community-wise, you're just like so willing to kind of roll with those punches to continue. Like, it's not a personal thing that
Yeah.
like something maybe doesn't go the way that you expect, or your idea isn't the best path forward, but you collectively move forward and bring in that counsel, which I think is really admirable.
Yeah.
I'm curious, with being so community-led and community-focused, crowd-funded, for the people, by the people, have there been any times that community has pushed back, that it's been hard to get maybe certain partners or stakeholders to see that vision, to be willing to contribute, or has it been a pretty like, yeah, when we tell people about this, folks are pretty excited and on board?
Yeah, that's the vibe of the community. Have not experienced the setback from the community or like from the people. We are always like, okay, let's do it. That's the that's the approach from our side, and like not only from my side, but everybody who is involved. If we decide that we need to like build this almost 2 kilometer way like pathway in 1 month, okay, let's do it. Like what's the problem? So yeah, that's the way we function. That's the way community thinks. That's I can say that that's the mindset of the people who are involved in all this.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me, there were a lot of lessons to be learned from the Georgian people. I feel like there's a lot of excitement to have an idea and make it happen in whatever means necessary. And that was really exciting in that we were able to sort of make this plan, have an idea, find people who are willing to say, yeah, we'll come help, we'll be the hands, getting the support of the city through just them giving us equipment was really helpful. So yeah, people pretty willingly hopped on board, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I want to ask this carefully, but there's a history of the United States kind of swooping in and being kind of like the savior of these other areas. Maggie, I'm curious from your perspective as someone who came in and saw this work being done and now is in a support role. How do you navigate ensuring that your voice isn't maybe too loud, or that you're still kind of in that support role? That's one of the things that we wanted to talk about, was how other partners are coming in, but ensuring that the leadership and direction is still being cast by the people with the original vision. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that's been important to me. It's a conversation that we have a lot in landscape architecture school, as we so often work in communities that we are not directly a part of, or we haven't been a part of for a long time. And so I think just trying to be really conscious of the fact that I didn't grow up in Rustavi the way that many of the volunteers did. I am someone who visited, and they did welcome me in a really special way to partner with them. But trying to remember that a lot of the times even when Data was saying that I was able to kind of nudge them in a direction for starting the pilot in a different spot on the floodplain. I think all of that really came out of having a conversation. And it wasn't me saying, hey, we have to do this because of these reasons. It was like, let's think about, what are the things that we're given here? Whose knowledge are we pulling from? I learned so much from Data and his friends, because I recognize that I am not an expert in this floodplain in Georgia. My knowledge is very niche. I've been learning in Alabama. And so, yeah, things are different. I'm there to learn. I was there as an intern. I was there to really just be a team member, recognizing that Data and his friends have been doing all of the really hard work to lift this project off the ground. And even back in the States, my work being very supplemental, I guess, in really just asking like, Data, what do you need from me this week? What can I make to help you communicate your ideas? Yeah, I hope that answers.
Totally. Data, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I think that's another thing about the project and acceptance. I'm not sure if that's a correct word to use, but I'm really proud of the people who surround me and my friends, and I'm really proud that I had the possibility to meet with Maggie. And from our childhood, we were always trying to reach out of the Georgia. We were always like kind of open people from outside experiences and outside relations. And so this project, I think, reflects that, because we are that type of people. Like we are not close-minded. We don't aim to like this project to be only for like local level. We aim this project to be as much international as possible, because I think it is good for our community first of all, of course, because we are getting this knowledge, we are getting these intellectual resources, for example, because of course I'm not I don't have a degree in landscape architecture, and I have like zero idea how to plan the trail. But Maggie knows that, of course, and we are like combining our knowledge, and everybody in this who are involved, we are equally involved from our own perspectives. So yeah, that's the vibe of the project and team.
Everyone is kind of a piece of the puzzle, which is really exciting. And understanding that all of the pieces are shaped differently because we all have different knowledge bases is really fun to explore.
Speaking of different shaped puzzle pieces, I believe there's a dream to get some other folks over involved in volunteering, potentially some international folks coming to support the work. Could you walk us through what that dream is?
That's I can say for now it's a dream, but we aim to, because this particular project will take, if our calculations are right, it will take at least 6 years to accomplish those milestones which we have in our mind. And throughout those years, of course, we will need much more support than we need now. So we aim to create some kind of base here in Rustavi, at least the place where we can host people from international communities, and mostly to involve students who study related topics, and to be able to work with them on the field. So that's like one of the most important part of the project in the future, I think, and I will try to accomplish it as fast as possible. Yeah, I really hope that at the end of next year we will have some thing and at least some part of it done as already. Yeah,
doing it as fast as you can, as if you're not doing a million other things. I love it. As we're starting to wrap up, I'm sure that there are folks at home who are just feeling inspired and excited about the work that you're doing. Are there any ways that they can get involved? Any places that they can go for more information? Kind of any of those calls to action that folks that want to learn more can check out?
Yeah, at this very moment, we are working on a webpage. It will be ready in about 10 days, maybe in 1 week. And that will be available for the conference. But for now, we are sharing all the information on Instagram, and you can find us on Instagram. It's just the name of the project, Napirze. And if you need to reach out, just DM. I will answer you most probably. So just DM on that Instagram account, or you can also really soon find information you might be interested in on a web page. And you also can, we will like put there the email, contact email. So yeah, these are two general like communication paths to reach out.
I followed you on Instagram this morning, so I'm excited for others to join me. To wrap this up, I have one last question. Just zooming out, your work is so hopeful. I think that a lot of times work in environmental restoration can feel daunting and can feel scary. And while I'm sure those feelings exist, so the feeling that I've gotten from this conversation is like, we can do the thing. We can find these creative ways to make it happen. And that brings me a lot of hope and a lot of joy. So I'm curious, could you each share something that's bringing you joy lately? It could be in your work or your personal life, but just a moment of joy you've been having.
Yeah, Maggie, you.
Okay. I will say, yeah, that exactly what you were saying has been bringing me a lot of joy recently. Seeing the way that this community has worked together. I think even studying landscape architecture, getting into the details of all of the complexities of working in the environment, whether it's with climate change or just with social issues that we may be working in. It is really hopeful to be able to work on a project like this where people are feeling empowered and yeah, changes are being made. So yeah, that's really been pretty amazing to continue to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, this project, I can say that this is like full-time, more than full-time job for me, because I'm doing it like in everyday basis from waking up till I go to sleep. So, and that's the thing what gives me most joy in life, because I'm doing what I think is a right thing, and I'm working on the thing which I love, and I'm working on it with the people who I appreciate. So yeah, this whole thing I can say brings me joy and happiness. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm going to give a little wrap-up monologue, but while I do so, I want to share my screen to pull up your page, so that way anyone who's watching on their laptop right now has the spelling, is ready to go. Thank you both so much for being here with us. You have been such an inspiring and, to use the word again, joyful contribution to this summit. We're really thankful, and we're excited to see maybe some future ways that EarthCorps can partner with you all, as well as these audience members from all over the world. Get involved, to get excited about the cool work that is happening. And I'd also encourage you to research what's happening in your community. There are environmental projects all over the place, macro and micro. And if they are any indication, the hope is there. So thank you both. I hope you have a lovely day and hope to stay in touch.
I think I just need, like, we forgot the most important thing. If anybody will ask, what does Napirze mean? It means
Oh my
it's a
goodness,
Georgian.
thank you.
Yeah. So it's a Georgian word, and it means on the bank. In this case, on the bank of the river. So that's the one of the biggest, one of the most important idea of the project, that with this project we want to bring people on the bank of the river, metaphorically, to reconnect people with the ecosystem, with the nature, with the river. Yeah. So yeah, that's we almost forgot to mention. Yeah.
That is beautiful, and I cannot imagine a better way to end. Thank you.